Welcome to the first episode of Let's Talk About It. We just want to talk about current topics, what's going on in the world. We want your input likewise. This is the three Phillips brothers, Judah Phillips, K Styles, and A3 Digital. We are just voices in the community. We feel like it's necessary for people to begin talking about the matters that are going on. We don't talk enough as a people. Am I right, fellas?
That's right. We all three come from the same mama, same daddy. We have different opinions. We see the world through different perspectives. And I think that the conversation is kind of good because it shows the world that politics among the Black community, even among Black brothers, is a personal issue. It's a personal life experience. And I think that throughout these conversations, people are going to realize that we three brothers even have differences in our political opinions. Yet it doesn't separate us. It don't change us. Al, that's very unprofessional to be on video eating.
No, that's cool. Come on, let's keep rolling, man.
All right. So
my wife is a good cook, and she cooking breakfast in the morning. I'm eating it, bro. Come on, baby.
And that's what's so cool about it, because your wife ain't cooked me nothing. My wife ain't cooked me nothing. I don't know where my wife is.
She be hooking it up in the morning.
Where my wife at? All right. So anyway,
Man,
eating that pork. Get over here eating that pork. You ain't no Hebrew Israelite, man.
This is turkey bacon.
All right. So anyway, I appreciate the time. We're gonna try to spend this once a week. Anybody that want to participate or come in, they're gonna DM us or send an email, and we can start to add people, one or two different perspectives from different people outside into our conversation. Most of our conversations are gonna be around political. We may have a little offset, conversation about other things, family, friends, loved ones, and stuff like that. But most of it, I think, is centralized around political and what's going on in the Trump administration and in the Democratic Party and the Republican situation. So with that foundation being set, I appreciate everybody staying tuned and watching all the way through. We're going to try to keep them short, try to keep our answers short, and move forward. So Al, Judah, any of y'all want to say anything else?
Well, let's get it started, man.
All right, so Judah, set the first topic.
well, I think we should first address the main issue in America, which is police brutality. It keeps happening over and over again. Everybody's fed up. Everybody's tired. Let's start with you, Al. How do you feel about police brutality and the way people are responding with all of the burning, the violence, the riots, and all of the people out in the middle of the street with AK-47s and rifles and stuff like that? What should we do as a people to get things back together and reform these police?
I kind of agree with Ice Cube. He wrote Ice Cube had a really nice thing to make police accountable. The police departments need to be accountable. The funny thing is that what's happening is we are being policed mainly in Democratic cities where the mayor's Democrat and they need your vote. So this is the funniest thing to me, is that we're not making enough demands on our political people who are in authority over us to make the police departments more accountable. The first thing that we did after, a lot of the situation that happened with Trayvon and after George Floyd, we would do a little bit before George Floyd, but after, I think, Eric Gardner, we demanded that those cameras, that all the police carry body cameras. But then it's like the police department always got some kind of slick way of trying to get out of it, and we shouldn't have let them out of it. We got to vote, and we got to be active in everything that happens, because if now for whatever reason, we got too many police officers that don't have their cameras on, and in 24 hours within an incident that happens with the police department, those police cameras and those videos must be made public, which means is that we got to be able to see that what happened publicly and make a judgment.
Hold them accountable. Got you.
And hold them accountable, yeah.
What you talking about, Judah?
I believe similar to that. I think the answer would be to have every cop live, meaning whenever they answer a call, they have to go live and have it monitored by a third party that's not affiliated with the police, meaning a group of people that just watch live camera videos from police, so that when they go to pull over John Murphy, a black man, they will be forced to act correctly because people are sitting there watching them. And if he doesn't come to the car and come correct, hey, I'm Officer Brown, badge number 34456. I pulled you over because you were speeding. Do you have your driver's license, registration, and insurance? They're not doing that. You're coming up the car, so get out the car with the gun, or they're saying, you know, other things like where you at and so forth. And it's creating a problem. So we have to hold them at a standard. Pretty much, if they're live, how can they go wrong? So we're going to have to get every police on live cameras and monitored by a third party. That's the solution.
You started off, you mentioned Ice Cube. What platform did he mention that on? Was it Instagram or whatnot? Give a shout out to that or whatever. Did you see that?
Well, that was something, it was on his Facebook page.
Recent Facebook page? That's better. All right. So
it was on his Facebook page.
So
And he wanted to reform police brutality, but he actually had a contract for Black America. And mainly that contract for Black America is what we should be demanding from the Democrat Party. And that we need to be asking for a lot of things. See, that's the sorry part about what we're not doing as a community, is that we don't have any demands. And
we should somehow read that later and look at what you're talking about. So we'll bring that back up. I think that's a good point. The other thing I think is, like Judah said, with the body cams and going live and whatnot, I think it's a little bit to that. It's not as easy as it is to be said, to be done, as it is to be said.
Right.
What's so hard about it?
Most
problem is they're editing their videos. About time you see them. Some of them have been edited, and there's still cops running around with no camera whatsoever. So that means people are ending up hurt or shot, and then there's no word except the cops and the young person or the person who was abused.
Right. So here's what I don't like. Well, let me touch on that, what you just said, Judith. With the video cameras, I don't like watching a video from the middle of it. I do want to see the whole story. I want to get it from the time the police get the phone call.
That's right.
So what always happens, and what we're starting to see is the pattern is this BS of a person pops up with a phone and the person getting beat, bow, 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 or running into the car getting shot. That's the end of this. That's how it ended. That's not how it began. That's not the phone. Well, then the whole argument becomes, well, I was addressing, you know, the story goes out into the public of the front story after the fact of what was being happening. So the setup for the police is what can be lied about. The setup for the black person can be made to look like a criminal up front, and he's doing something or did something already that didn't get caught on camera. You know, so the live from the jump would actually solve that whole, we're watching it from the hindsight, trying to catch up and see what happened and making, you know, early, what I would say, pre-judgments before you really know the full story. And this is a constant repeat of BS that with technology in America should be able to solve really quick if we wanted to. And I think people are not wanting it solved. But go ahead.
Well, we having two problems. The second problem is the people who get the video is cutting up the video. And usually the people who get the video is the media. They're the last people you want to have the video, because they're going to take that video and they're going to create their own narrative because they're trying to sell ads to their news show. Yeah. We don't want that. We want to get the sensationalism out of it so that we can make proper judgments based on what happened. And see, and that's a lot of times they sensationalize news to get everybody emotionally distraught,
charged up,
so that they can advance some type of political view. And what we really want is we want to make righteous judgments. I don't want no news to sensationalize the story because
the Young Turks do that.
Yeah.
Watch the Young Turks. They take a story and they show, Judah, you do it. You take a story and sensationalize it, put your little spin, your 2 cents of your opinion into the story, and then you shape it, and then you put it out there. Instead of putting it out there as what it is and then saying this is what it is. It, to me, that right there is ingenuine. But go ahead.
We don't get the full video. And then second of all, if we see someone running, it doesn't matter what happened. If they're running and get shot, it probably wasn't worth it. If they're going away from you, okay, then you're going to have to get the police together and catch them. But taking their lives, that's not a good thing. So in most of the videos we watch, that is the case. Meaning we don't see that there was something happening that was threatening the officers' lives, so we don't have to see the full story.
Okay, well let me, which I agree with that. True, we all know that. Al, you agree with that? The issue is,
I think we always need to see the whole story.
Yeah, but the moment listen, Judah. The moment you take your hands and you put them off camera, right there, you say, I got a gun right here now. You don't know what's out here. So when the guy runs and he take his butt and he reach into a car, the cop automatically got the reason or to say off camera, he grabbed the gun. It looked like I'm holding a gun, don't it? You can, it's in your imagination right now. You can imagine this black man got a gun in his hand. Bang, 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 you shoot me. Everybody, nobody knows that I'm just doing this. Nobody knows I'm doing this. I'm praying. You don't know. So when you don't have your hands and you'll take your dumb butt and reach outside or into your car, under your seat or whatever, and they start shooting you, you lost the argument.
We're all concluding the same thing. We're all concluding the same thing. There has to be a full recording of everything that goes on once the officer is called. From the time it's called, it starts recording. As he's heading to the place, as he arrives to the place, what happens during the occasion, and then how he leaves. Everything needs to be recorded. So it has to be a third party. Flat out. This is all blacks need to be shooting for. We need to get together and put out a petition to say we want live microphones and for it to be monitored by a third party that's not affiliated with the police department.
Yes.
We can put our own
put recorders in the cars, but all that footage and all that recording every time they get a call from one or dispatch for the recording to start is going to be hard. But okay.
We're in agreement about that. Nobody trusts the police.
There's another point. There's another side of this because I think the focus of this whole thing is to protect black people because we're the one, all people, but we will
specifically emphasis on black people.
Yeah. There's an unfair advantage that happens between cops and the people. I blame schools for this situation. Number one, because mainly the people who are being accosted in a lot of this situation are because of civil discourse. People don't understand the law. If you are a young person in America, you ought to understand civil law. You can't just be walking the streets. Absolutely. And schools ought to be teaching. There used to be classes that taught civil law so that when you interact with a cop, when you interact with the fire department, the police, or government officials or whatever, if you're going to be a up and standing citizen in the United States, then you need to understand what your rights are and what. So there's no classes that really deal with that. They kind of just leave you out there and they teaching everything that they teach to a test, and they got a bunch of young people running around
and they hold them
with no knowledge of civil law, of understand no understanding of what their rights are or anything, which is very dangerous.
A lot of our people don't even know how to respond when they're pulled over.
Exactly.
Or by a cop.
Exactly.
You need to know when you should speak, when it's not necessary to speak, and everything.
Right. You have a right to remain silent, and anything that you said could be held against you in the court of law. You got to understand what that means, and that should be taught in a classroom. They got too many kids that's running around with no idea of how to interact with the.
I kind of think that's bull. I think it's BS. And the reason why I think that's BS is because, for one, if you get pulled over and you get silent and you say whatever you got to say, and they take you and they say, I'm pulling you over for ABC. And you say, okay, give me a ticket. And they say, well, okay, well, I got this on you. Or I got a call that a man that was in a red checkered shirt just robbed the bank. Mm-hmm. And they go to take me in for robbing the bank. And I'm like, It ain't me. So they wrongfully accuse me off of a phone call because of a neighbor who don't like me or somebody that thinks I'm out there doing something. So anyway, there's a false accusation that's being accused against me, which makes the cop come and pick me up and pull me into. This is like 85% of the internet issues. Is a cop saying, we got a call that we need to come and look at you or come in your house or do something for you. And the black person is like, it ain't me. And they like, well, somebody out here, third party, said it's you. And they like, it ain't me. So that's the next 20, minutes of the video of them saying, don't come in my house, or it's not me. And the cops saying, we got the right to come in your house. We the cops, we got to make sure everybody is right, and the person trying to fight against it.
Well,
So
there's two situations that there's
an impasse. It's an impasse when you have an officer who's being told by party number 3, who's not in the video, not part of it, nothing, that there's an issue that party number 1 is the identified as the problem. And then everybody gets their phone once party number 1 and the cop get into a fight. That's how it starts. That's the fuel. You get Becky calls on Tony. Tony, the cop shows up to Tony's face and starts to violate Tony's rights off the WAP, or I can't say WAP, off the top. And Tony now is upset that the cop has showed up in his space and violating his rights of privacy, of being in public or being able to do whatever he got to do, pursue his happiness, which the cop is not allowing him to do. So my thing is, how do you prove that the cop did not get a call from Becky or got a call from Becky? And how do you make that cop happy without getting your rights taken away from you?
Okay, this is you are proving exactly what I was saying about people needing to understand and know what their rights are. I don't care what happened. If you didn't do it, you didn't do it. And it is the cop's responsibility to prove or to have some kind of way that they have to be able to know that you did it, but they don't have to get the information from you. You don't have to be the person to give them the information. And this is the thing that a lot of people don't understand. A cop's training, they can lie.
Yes.
They are told and taught to lie, to get information. They are connive, they are cheat, they are lie. They are taught that in their training. So the best thing for you to do is to be quiet, because if they don't know nothing, not knowing nothing is nothing.
Yeah.
So, but this stuff is not ever taught, because they set you up by not teaching you what you're supposed to know, how to be able to walk around as a citizen in America and be trained in understanding how to deal with the law. Okay. See, our lack of education is a huge problem. And
so to solve that, so if a police right now kicked in the back of Judah's door, Judah got a door in his background.
Mm-hmm.
You're basically saying, to get to the point, Judah's supposed to just turn around, keep his mouth shut right there. He ain't supposed to tell him, I'm Judah, I'm Judah.
Don't do none of that.
Get all upset and start fighting back. He's supposed to lay down, put his life on the line, let them choke hold him or whatever.
No, you don't choke him.
Well, if they choke hold him, what are you supposed to do? He supposed
If
to lay down and let him put a gun to his head.
this is
Don't go kick his
the
door.
first thing. Hold on. I get what you're saying. I get what you're saying. If a cop is gonna do illegal and arrest you illegally, beat your tail illegally, and do all of this stuff illegally, there's really nothing you could do about that. That cop has authority. Wait a minute. There's nothing that you could do about that right then. The other thing, what you can do about it is to protect yourself by having cameras. The cameras are the protection. Black people, I don't understand about all of us seeing everything that's happened. What are we looking at? We are all looking at videos of what we see happening around the country with cops usurping their authority and doing more than what they're supposed to do to treat people.
Protect the people.
They ain't protected. Some of them got vendettas. And see, this is what is not being told. Some cops have a vendetta against another person. Yeah. And they go out and they are coming out. They're going on revenge missions to catch people. Yeah. And so a lot of times that is what is going on. They going after a revenge mission to catch you on something.
George Floyd, watch. When it all comes out, we will see.
So anyway, the cameras are your only protection, and be quiet. Because fighting and resisting is that's more damaging for the courts and the lawyers to be able to fend for you if you run in your mouth, every
time you're saying something or doing something, you're bringing yourself to the point of being in the wrong.
Yeah, you're making it harder for the lawyer to defend you. So you gotta think, you gotta have forward thinking when before the police pull you over, you gotta already know what the lawyer wants you to know.
Okay.
Gotcha. What's up, Judy?
All right. So let's sum up this particular topic.
Yeah.
We pretty much touched around, and we've gotten a lot of information. Pretty much two things. Blacks need to put out petitions so that we can have cameras monitored by a third party, live cameras that is, so that they can't be edited or changed by the chief of police, cops, or anything like that, so that they can avoid lawsuits. So that's one thing. And the other thing was our children need to be educated. They need to implement some type of education in schools that teach people how to deal with law and to know the basic law, their basic rights. So that's
know your right.
That needs to go out. So that does need to be included in school. That will resolve a lot of issues. A lot of these parents aren't teaching their children how to respond. So they're doing whatever they want to do when they're approached by a cop and pissing the cops off. Cops are people just like we are. They do get pissed and act irrational.
Jude, I wanted you to touch on that. I wanted you to touch on your back door getting kicked in.
So what do you mean? If something like that was to happen, then yes, you have to be as calm as possible and do what the officers say. Because if they're in your house, then they probably have already had a warrant. But there's cases like Brianna in which they didn't. So the guy responded and pulled out his gun, which who wouldn't if your door is kicked in? Right. But it turns out they were in the wrong place, and that's just so.
But see, we should. But the other thing is, those no-knock warrants should never have been illegal. They shouldn't have never been legal. See, and this is our inability to understand that laws are being passed that are used to monitor us, to control us, to deal with us. Laws are being passed that we don't even know about. Okay, and so there has to be communication between the government facilities and the principalities and people who are over the laws that govern your community, and you can't just be passing laws in the dark. And they do that so often, and the people have no idea of the laws that are being passed in the dark. So when they see cops coming in here with no-knock warrants, knocking in your door with guns drawn, you need to know how to react for that.
So all right, so like Judah said, at the end of the day, we need more Black people I call them Hebrew Israelites. We need our people to be more involved in the law, the legal process, the video process, the court systems, and just the overall, we're taxpayers. So we need the overall aspect of the arrest and what you should say and do. And we should teach our children from that current knowledge of what these laws are and what that is for our particular cities and area codes and areas. If you living in Dallas or you living in Atlanta, y'all might have two different things. You know, you living in Ohio, you might have something different than what's up here in the South. So whoever's in that local area, you need to, as a Black man, be responsible for knowing what those laws and codes and situations are. Now, the other part is all Black people are not perfect. We all know that. There's wrong on both sides, you know. So you gotta, we don't talk about, and it's hard to talk about in the Black community, but drug dealers make it hard for a lot of Black people, because what the police have started to build is drug units, what we don't talk about. These drug units and drug enforcement units are people that are supposed to do behind the scenes investigations on who these big drug lords are, drug dealers in America. And they are the ones that's fighting this war. And they're the ones who are fighting this war to try to shut down the black community from selling dope, selling drugs in the community and all this. So you got these two parts, this private part in the background where the cops are supposedly fighting against, you know, drug dealers and people that's doing bad in the Black community. And then they keep, every time they catch somebody, all of the Black people say, well, he was a good man. He was a church Christian. He was this and that. And he done went and he helped his grandmama across the street. And he was this and that. God bless him. And then all the white cops and all the white people say, well, he was a drug dealer. He was on dope. He was on crack. And he done murdered 20 people and got away with it. And it's like, okay, good, well, bad guy, who he got shot. So it's this whole bull crap that they want us to try to eat and try to swallow, and nobody is able to communicate, you know, the issue. That's why I'm a big proponent of having our own Black precincts, our own Black officers, police cars, police patrolling our neighborhoods. We need Black cops.
That brings up the next
Black
subject.
cops matter. Put it like that. We need our own Black precincts. Black
that's
cops.
The intro to the next subject. Let me bring
that's a nice slogan.
There's a group of, I want to bring in the next subject because we talked on that pretty much. There's a group of Blacks that have gotten together financially and purchased 100 acres of land. And on that land, they are planning to build a Black community, meaning all Black community, so that they can thrive and stand and have Black values and police they trust. What do you all feel about that? When they will,
I think that's wonderful, but that's not really, that's going to only be part of the answer. I think that's a wonderful thing that Black folks are purchasing land. That's the start of a great and wonderful thing. But the biggest problem with Black people, I'm gonna keep saying this, is education. Is the fact that we don't understand how communities are working. We don't understand what's happening to us in the community. For example, with this, if we go back to what we was talking about before we switched to that, with the cops, we don't understand that the cops make money off of, I mean, this is about money.
Always.
This is about money. It's not just about a cop pulling you over. This is really about money. And laws are about generating income. For example, when they trying to legalize weed in the Black community, they reduce those sentences down for a weed offense, but they never made it completely legal. Okay, so if it's not completely legal, and what I mean by that, you cannot prosper in the weed industry, number one, because other jobs are not gonna hire you if you high. They're not gonna, if you can't pass a drug test, you don't want somebody high driving your kids' bus to school. You know what I'm saying? You don't want a high bus driver.
So we don't help the Black community at all.
They don't.
Those
Well,
report.
right. All it does, it creates legal entanglements, and that's where the municipalities are making money off of black people, is by gathering you in legal entanglements. So when they pull you over and you got weed in the car, that now they can just pull you in because they got a reason. Yeah. Now you inside some kind of legal entanglement where they're gonna get money out of you.
Keep
Now they're gonna check
you down,
check
keep
your
you prospering. Yep.
exactly. So one of the things is the web of illegal entanglements that we are getting into as far as the black community, and we voted in that mess. And I told them, I said, this is gonna create a whole web of foolishness. And now I'm looking at so many black folks who is in legal entanglements because of weed, and because and I'm watching mothers and fathers smoking weed right there in front of their children and stuff like that. I mean, it just degrades our whole look in our whole society as people. That, you know, and I understand marijuana as medicinal purpose and things to that, as medicine, as oils, as things to that nature, but we because it's not fully legal, and because it's not something that, because you are impairing your mind. Now they finally coming out saying that it's causing all kinds of health problems, because, you know, we don't do nothing. When black people do something, we never do it halfway. We do it all the way. If you gonna
so we got 5 minutes left on this. Judith, go ahead and talk on that topic real quick. And what we'll do is we'll start another episode to talk about the black communities.
As far as the people, black families getting together and getting their own community far, far away from civilization, where they will be able to work with themselves, I think it's a bad idea to get far away from ordinary civilization, because we've done it before. Black Wall Street in Tulsa, Oklahoma, 1921. They killed 300 black people because one black boy allegedly whistled at a white woman, or was in the elevator and he said something flirtatious or something. We don't know. It's her word against his. So she said,
always
he tried
third party
to
bet
flirt with me or something. And all of the white community came to the black community, started a fight, saying, hey, bring us that N-word guy, bring him here so that we're gonna beat him up. So we
deal with him.
Blocking him, saying, no, y'all are not
That's
gonna have him. So they began warring and fighting. And then it got so bad, the blacks were winning the fight. So they said, go get the airplanes. They got the airplanes and they began to drop bombs and kill 300 people. So I'm saying, why would you?
Okay, so wait a minute.
Why would you get
hold
away?
on, guys, hold on, Al. We got 4 minutes. We got 4 minutes.
If you separate yourselves, then you're creating a way that they can defeat you. If it ever became to that point again, they can just drop a bomb on you, say, we're done with them. So if you separate, that's an easy way for you to be a war target, is what I'm saying. But when you're integrated, it makes them have to respect you, because your house is next to the neighbor's house who might be Caucasian. So nobody's gonna come and drop any bombs. Blacks don't have any nuclear things. So if it becomes a war fighting, if the race war gets worse, then it's a bad setup.
Let me say this. And I sort of agree with you on that, Judith.
Small communities is what I want to say.
The issue is, though, is that you and I both are putting the other races,
be careful, man,
as they're going to drop a bomb on us if we all come together. Meaning, you still have distrust.
It happened.
Let me. But I'm getting to the root of this. It means you do not trust the white community or opposite race community enough for us to go on and start our own community and do certain things on our own. You are saying that they always are going to come over and start a war with us and try to end our community, end our prosperity. So, and all we are setting ourselves up as a easier target by creating a separate community and doing certain things on our own to prosper, right?
Right. I think you should get a gated community, but still in the ordinary civilization. In other words, you can get your own gated community, but you're still in an area in which
close
there's
it out.
integrated
Here's the
white
deal. We
black.
got 2 minutes. We're gonna do another segment talking about the gated community, talking about the Black community, and should we separate and create another community, or and will we all talk about Black Wall Street or Black Hollywood or Black this or Black that? Black.
Well, this has got the. I just want to end it with this. We got to have our goals set. Number one, the goals for Black people. We're not ready to run our own community. We can run our own community, but we're not ready to really do it. What I'm trying to say is that we don't own enough of the major industries that run all society.
Correct.
What I mean.
So with that program, I appreciate you guys tuning in and listening. This is about to cut off, guys. This was an awesome episode. The next episode, we're gonna finish that thought. Go ahead, Judah.
Inbox us if you want to get in on the next discussion. We want any and everybody. Let's talk about it. Phillips Brothers.
Peace, y'all.